And welcome back to the 2 Point Conversion Podcast. I'm your host, Max. Today is our weekday warm-up. We're looking at the round that's coming up, doing our tips, the ins and outs, that type of thing. Let's kick it off with our first game tomorrow night at Amy Park. It's the Melbourne Storm versus the Rabbits. Both teams didn't play too well last weekend. Melbourne obviously got the job done over the Tigers still, and the Rabbits lost to the Broncos in a close one. Not that the Rabbits played well. Ins for the Storm: Cameron Munster, Chris Lewis, Dean Lamia, Harry Grant, Jack Holworth, Jaden Nicarima, Jesse Bromwich, Jonah Pezzett, and Will Warbrick. The outs are Brandon Smith, Christian Welsh, George Jennings. Melbourne picking up some injuries last week. No outs for the Rabbits this week. Ins are Dean Hawkins, Isaiah Tass, Latrell Mitchell, Liam Knight, Peter Mamazoulis, and Richie Kenner. Now, the only major change for the Rabbits is that Josh Mansour is going to the extended bench, with Alex Johnson going back on the wing and Latrell Mitchell coming into that fullback spot. Sad news for the Bunnies, as they found out that Blake Taff will be out for another 4 weeks. Moving on to the second game, we have the Dragons versus the Panthers. It is a Dragons home game at Nestraba Jubilee Stadium. The outs for both teams, there's only one: Aaron Woods for the Dragons and Moses Leota for Penrith. The ins for the Dragons are Daniel Alvaro, George Burgess, Jaden Hunt, Matthew Fagai, Persaya Fumasali, Tarek Sims, Tautau Moga. The ins for the Panthers are Jermaine Hopgood, Kurt Falls, Lindsay Smith, Matthew Eisenhuth, Robert Jennings, Sony Luke, and Tylan May. Both teams played well last week. The Dragons winning over the Warriors and the Panthers winning over the Seagulls. This should be a good game, but based on previous seasons, we should know what to expect from both sides. My tip for this game is the Penrith Panthers, and I forgot to mention my tip for the last game just because Melbourne have some injuries out. I'm going to tip the Rabbits. Next game on the agenda is the Roosters and the Seagulls. 15th versus 16th. Seagulls lost comfortably to Manly. The Seagulls lost comfortably to Penrith, and the Roosters lost comfortably to Newcastle. No outs for either side, but the ins for Manly are Adam Kieran, Ben Marshke, Daniel Fafita, Lachlan Lamb, Nafahu White, and Renouf Atoni. The ins for the Eagles are Andrew Davey, Christian Tupelotu, Dylan Walker, James Romanos, and George Tafua. My tip for this one is the Seagulls. I think that both sides bounce back, but I think the Seagulls get the job done in a close one. Might even win it with a field goal, because what we saw from Tom Turbo last week just wasn't going to cut it, and I think he'll bounce back. After that, we got the Titans hosting the Warriors. Wateni Zelezniak, Sean Johnson, and Viliami Vela are out for the Warriors. Adam Pompey, Ash Taylor, Edward Kusi, Jesse Arthurs, Junior Ratuva, Matt Lodge, Pride, Peterson Rabadi, Reece Walsh, and Tanila Okotokolo in for the Warriors. Alex Brimson, Herman SASA, Jared Wallace, Paul Turner, Sam McIntyre, and Sosefo Fafita in for the Titans. My tip for this game is a close one because both teams played alright last week, but I thought the Titans were just better, and their first game at home, I'm tipping the Titans to get the W. After that, we have Cronulla versus Parramatta. Now, this should be a good one. My tip for this match is Parramatta. I thought they were much better than Cronulla last week. But Cronulla still, still did surprise me with what I saw, but I think Parramatta will get the job done. Ryan Madison and Sean Russell out for the Eels, no outs for Cronulla. Cameron McInnes, Connor Tracy, Franklin Pele, Jaden Beryl, Jensen Tuamapia, and Lachlan Miller in for the Sharks. Hayes Purnham, Kai Rodwell, Mitch Rain, Nathan Brown, Tom Opacek, Grieg, Naduki, and Loizu in for the Parramatta Eels. As I said, Parramatta, that's who I'm tipping. They should be too clutch in the match on the weekend. They played well last week, both sides did, but I just like Parramatta a little bit more. Cowboys and the Raiders are next, and easier said than done. I'm going straight off last week's performances. Both sides played alright for who their opposition was. Cowboys losing to the Dogs and the Raiders beating Cronulla based off some errors off Cronulla right late at the death. But regardless, I thought Canberra were better out of the two teams, and I'm picking Canberra this week. Jermaine Tanua-Brown, Brad Schneider, and Josh Hodgson out between the two sides. First one was the Cowboys, second one was the Raiders. Ben Cotton, Brendan Elliott, Lamelu, Arcee, Pere, Name, and Cotter all in for the Cowboys. And Trevelyan, Rushton, Frawley, Holler, Ryan Sutton, Sam Williams, Sebastian Chris, and Trey Mooney in for the Raiders. Looking at it, Ricky had his men fired up last week. The Raiders were the better side out of the two teams in the Raiders and the Cowboys, and that's just, I like the Raiders too much going into this round. Knights versus Knights versus Tigers. We've seen some close battles between these two teams in the past. I'm going to tip the Knights in this one, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say this could be the first game of the year that goes to Golden Point. I'm thinking it'll be, Knights are $1.40, Tigers are $2.75, but I'm thinking it'll go down to the wire and it will be decided by 1 point or two. Maybe in Golden Point, maybe not. I reckon it could get to Golden Point, but I'm tipping the Knights in this one. Braden Musgrove, Daniel Saifidi, Dylan Lucas, Pasami Solo, Simi Sasangi, and Tex Hoy in for the Knights. No outs. No outs for the Tigers, but Austin Diaz, Jacob Little, Jock Madden, Stafford Toa, Tukey Simpkins, and James Tamau all in for the Tigers. Player to watch in this one, I would reckon, and a little bit of fantasy help. Get him in your team if you can. Dominic Young. Also, keep an eye out for Dane Gagai. Those two were phenomenal last week. And, I think Kalen Ponga can help. And he's going to have to do a lot this year if the Knights want to get somewhere. But those two that I just mentioned, Young and Gagai, were sensational last week for the Newcastle Knights. Last game of the round, we've got the Broncos playing in Sydney against the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. For this game, Brandon Wakeham, Joe Stimson, Josh Cook, Kyle Flanagan, Reece Hoffman, and Tapita Pangai Jr. are in for the Bulldogs. No outs. Tyrone Roberts is out for the Broncos, but Corey Jensen, Corey Pakes, Jordan Pereira, Kobe Heverington, Tessie New, Tyson Gamble, and the skipper Adam Reynolds are back in for the Broncos. If you can get through a game without getting hurt, I like the Broncos in this one. I think the Broncos' success will be based off Capewell and Adam Reynolds this year. Honestly, them two alone. If Adam Reynolds can stay fit in this one, I'm liking the Broncos. I'm going to tip the Broncos, but it wouldn't surprise me in a close one if the Doggies won. Alright, well, that's been the 2-point conversion weekday warm-up. We'll give them my thoughts, opinions, tips. Good luck to all teams this weekend. Good luck to all fantasy teams. The 2PC Cup Supercoach League starts this week. don't forget to DM the 2 Point Conversion Podcast on TikTok or Instagram if you would like to join. And I'll get you in the league. There's 5 spots left. And I will go through. I will make a video tomorrow before the round starts of all the teams and who's versing who and in the league. And there'll be a prize at the end for the winner. But yeah, this has been 2 Point Conversion Podcast. 2 Point out.